welcome with me my good friend who's also from Chicago. I'm from the west side of Chicago. He's from the south side, but I still love him. It doesn't matter. But he's doing great work, and I was just too happy to have him join us here today and talk about his excellent work with UGA and the other good stuff that he does. Now, before I give him the mic, because once I give it to him, I'm not going to get it back, okay? I don't know if you remember, I met you many years ago here on the golf course. At that time, you had a travel service, and I met you at a DeBerk Cook golf outing, and I still have one of the prizes because you donated a golf club, a putter, if I'm not mistaken. I still have that in my man cave, Ty. So you've been a part of my life for a long time. Maybe you didn't know it, but you are, my friend. I give you Ty.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm not going to sit there.
Oh, okay, I thought you needed something for the books.
See if I can. We got some famous people up on that. So on the far left, and I'll explain who all the ladies are on the screen. But just let me say thank you very much. This is a great opportunity. Again, Jim, thank you very much for the opportunity to come up here and share. For those who know me, I've been in the golf industry for a good amount of time. I think I'm 15 years now. So I'm one of those very few entrepreneurs who have been in the golf industry and still thriving. Again, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and again, my name is Tarek Delavallade. I am the Executive Director for United Golfers Association. What we see here on the screen and what I'll be talking about today and sharing is the history of UGA. I'm not sure if everyone even knows truly what the history of UGA is, where we came from, where we've gotten to, and then what's the future of the organization. One thing that, again, I brought the organization back, it had been sleeping, I'll just say that. It was sleeping for about 45 years. And for an organization that's strong, that had up to 10,000 members, for it to just kind of just disappear in the late 70s was, I still can't get a full answer from anyone exactly what happened. But regardless of that or not, the most important thing is why I'm here today. What you see on the screen here are some wonderful women. You have Althea Gibson, Renee Powell, and Gregory. These are some of the young ladies who are going to be gracing our field in the tournament coming up. You have Alana Avery, you know her sister, probably more. You have Koa, and then you have, then this young lady is Kai, and then obviously we have Miss Morgan Rodriguez, and then that's Kate Cox. Some of you may know Kate Cox. She was on, and of course now I forget what the show is, but she had a hole-in-one, and it went totally viral. And everyone now knows her because of some of the things that because of that. What I'll talk about quickly, and I will go through the history of some things, but the most important thing and part of the reason why we're here today is to talk about United Golfers Association's 100th anniversary. And I'm going to leave this up for a moment. But what's happening, and I want to step back because it's going, can you hear me okay? I don't want to feel like I'm leaning too far in. So as the executive director for UGA, from when we got it started, as I mentioned earlier, we were somewhat clueless as to exactly what we wanted to do with it when we brought it back. We just knew we wanted to bring it back. When you have an organization that had over 10,000 members, we essentially, for those who are baseball folks, we were the Negro League of golf. We were the pipeline. When you look at Teddy Rhodes, Calvin Pete, Lee Elder, Charlie Sifford, Renee Powell, Pete Brown, all of our legends, Jim Thorpe, Jim Dent, Althea Gibson, and Gregory, they all played on the UGA tour circuit. And it just wasn't a tour circuit. There were close to 25 events happening every year across the United States that UGA was a part of. Some of you know about Western States Golf Association, Chicago Women's Golf Club, all of these organizations from the East Coast from the East Coast to the West Coast were all members of UGA. What's happening now is this is our 100th anniversary, and we would love to invite everyone here in this room to come celebrate with us. On February the 14th through the 16th, we'll be having our 100th anniversary, and what's happening is that it's a full 3 days of activities. We start off with the Pro-Am on Friday afternoon. Then we have a welcome reception, and then we have a party called the Get Down for the parents, because obviously it's Valentine's Day, so we want to make sure all of our parents can have an opportunity to enjoy each other and have a good time. And then on Saturday, and I'll talk a little bit about this a little bit more in depth because I have a schedule, but maybe I just may pop over to it. But let me just share this. This is who's playing in our event. We have 76 of the top black juniors from across the United States and Canada coming to play in our event. So we have elite juniors on the girls' side, we have young men, and we even have the Legends Cup, which is our collegiate cup, which is going to be a unique format. It's a Ryder Cup format, so it's a 12v12, 8 men, 4 women per side with celebrities as the team captains, and then we have our professional women tour players. For the second year, actually third year, we're having women tour players compete in our event, but this is the second year that we actually have a purse. We're the first organization to have an all-black female tour event with a purse in 2024. Think about that. LPGA had been around for a very long time, but we haven't had that many black women playing professional golf that long to even have a field. So now we do. We have close to 13 black women across the United States currently competing from the Epson Tour all the way down. Malachi, can you tell everybody who from left to right, who we're seeing on the screen? You probably can't hear them. I'll do it for them. So it's Charlie Sifford, Jim Dent, Renee Powell, and we have Mr. Elder, we have Ann Gregory, we have Althea Gibson, and obviously our good friend Mr. Jim Thorpe and Calvin Pete. These are some of the legends who all came through United Golfers Association. They all have extreme amount of wins, and some of them played in the Ryder Cup, some played in the US Open, some played in the PGA Championship. So a lot of them have an extreme amount of accolades across the board. This is our event. Opening ceremony, investing in you seminar, and then we go through the rest of the afternoon. As I mentioned before, then we have our welcome reception and dinner. Island tea time. So what's happening is that we have our 76 juniors. They're playing on the island course. And so it's an amazing opportunity to come see and watch. So again, we're going to be in Tampa. Does anyone live in Florida? Okay. So please, if you have time, make time, come watch them. We have close to around 350 tickets that have already been sold. Well, not tickets per se, but they've confirmed that they'll be coming because these young people need to be showcased. There are way too many opportunities where the APGA Tour has been out there on the tour and there's no one out there cheerleading for them. Zero. We have to find, we complain, and I'm going to be very frank and intentional, we complain that we don't have enough people out there playing, but then when they're out there playing, we don't show up and we know that they're in our backyard. So what's very important is that we show up for them, regardless of where they are. If you know that they're playing in a particular city, come show up. These are our media partners: Black Enterprise, Golf Pass, Golf Digest, African American Golfers Digest. DeBert, thank you again. We appreciate your support always. Black Active Golf, Make Golf Your Thing, The Morning Read, 1896, and the Black Golf Wire. And PGA Tour is going to be there also shooting. But think we have some amazing, and so Golf Pass will be shooting, but we also have PGA Tour will be shooting now with their new platform called the Pro Shop. I'm going to take a second and pause because I want to make sure I step through the history of UGA carefully. So in 1925, 8 men and women decided to create an organization. They had been fussing and fighting and clawing to play competitive golf across the United States for decades. They've been doing it since the late 1800s. And what's happened is that they came together and started the United Golfers Association. Why? Because there were places that they could not play across the United States. Local, regional, and nationally. They wanted to play in events with PGA Tour had only been around for 9 years when UGA started. So let's take a peek at that. PGA of America started in 1914. And we started about 10 years right after that. So we've been around for a long time. There's no reason why we should not be way up there as far as in growing the game, leading the game, and changing the game. We are an organization and will be at a level within the next couple of years that we will be making our own pace. And what happened in 1925, they kept moving. Tides were growing. By the time 1930s came around, there was actually 9 golf courses across the United States that black men and women bought the land. They created the holes. But then they were like bed and breakfasts. So we had 9 golf courses by the late 1930s. We were growing the game across the United States. Our first tournament, which was our first unofficial tournament, was at Shady. And thank you again. We appreciate you guys coming. Our first official UGA National Championship was at Mapledale. Mapledale Country Club is in Stowe, Massachusetts. It's no longer called Mapledale anymore. It's called Stowe Acres Country Club. But Robert Hawkins bought 192 acres of land. That's a lot of land for a black man to purchase in the early 1920s. Within 8 months, he purchased the land, created 9 holes, built a building, and welcomed close to 34 black golfers from across the United States to come there and compete. And it was hosted there for 3 years. From there, we kept growing and growing. And then in 1934, something changed. There was something that was put into the bylaws of PGA of America. They started seeing the tides rise. Just like in Ocoee, Florida, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and many other places around the United States, when people of culture and color started rising, money, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, families, everyone's proud and we're ready to rumble, somehow something happens. So they put this clause in their bylaws that said you have to be a white male born in North America to be a member of PGA of America. Now that was either playing or being an employee of any club that had nothing to do with, but mostly to do with management. So there were men already playing and working at clubs, and even over the next 15 years, what had been happening is now they were working, and back then, we know some of our people of color were a bit more light, and so they were passing. And then what was happening is that I think close to 12 black men, their PGA actually licensed, their certification was taken from them. So they've already done all the work, but then it was taken from them. Many years went by. And so what's happening is that a lot of these men, Joe Lewis, Mr. Robinson, they were going around and hosting golf tournaments. My grandfather was one of them, Charles Fouché in Chicago. And Cooper's not here, I don't see him, but my grandfather used to actually call up Mike Cooper in the south side of Chicago and have him come play in golf tournaments to come, and back then they were running numbers. But obviously, they were running numbers on the golf course back then. But what's happened is over the next 20 years, some unfortunate things were happening. And we had to act for those men to go play and compete in tournaments. They would actually have to physically go to an attorney, to a judge, or someone who's the mayor, and actually get permission and vie and fight just to play in a tournament that should have been open for them. Now, this happened over and over and over again. UGA was at the forefront of diversity once again, fighting for equal rights, fighting just to be able to play. And then in 1961, after 16 lawsuits from UGA to the PGA of America, finally they took it off their paperwork. But what ended up happening is even though they took it off the paperwork, they changed the laws. They changed not the laws, but the terms and conditions of the tournaments. And what were those conditions? They went from calling them opens to invitationals. An invitational means you've been invited. Open means anyone who pays your $200 or $50, you come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way through, you're welcome to come play. Well, they say moving the goalposts back, right? Moving the tee back. This is what happened. This is where it started. So for the next 14 years, you had some amazing men coming and playing. From Ted Rhodes to Calvin Pete really wasn't jamming then, but a lot of the men from Charlie Sifford, Lee Elder, and there were many others, and I apologize, there's so many names to mention that were during the late 60s and early 70s who were playing and competing, but they had to keep fighting. They did get great opportunities, but now what was happening is that one of those opportunities was the Great Hartford Open. Charlie Sifford won that. That should have been the tournament that got him opportunity and access to play in the Masters. He wasn't the face that they wanted to be, the first face of the Masters, first black man to play in the Masters. So they shut him down. It took almost another 7 years, or 6 years, until Lee Elder won the Monsanto Open in Baltimore. And when he won that, that's what got him access to the Masters in 1975. But we got to think about how old were these men. They were not 28. They were not 38. Lee Elder was 41 when he played in the Masters. By that time, I believe that Mr. Sifford was close to 53. So what's happening is they're aging, they intentionally aged us out of competition, Jim. So I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago, and they were like, I don't understand. I said, so let's look back at some things. In 1947, Jackie Robinson got an opportunity to play in the Major League Baseball, right? A year and a half later, the National Negro League was dissolved. Same and similar thing happened in golf. But what happened is that they were going in and getting all the talented black men out of the Negro League and pulling them out. So then now the crowds, all the black men and women and children would show up to these baseball games looking like Sunday's best, right? We've all seen those photos. But the pride of a culture was taken from them at a moment. Same and similar thing has happened in many other opportunities, whether it be professionally or in sports. But I want to say, and for UGA, something similar happened to us in 1977. So when Lee Elder got an opportunity to play in the Masters, less than a year and a half later, everything changed. Then that's when the last UGA Invitational National Championship was held in Maryland at the Chevy Chase Country Club. And that's the last one that we have of record. From then up until 2000, my crazy self decided to bring this organization back. But what are we doing now? What is the UGA of today? So there's lots of things happening today. And I pushed forward on this slide a little fast, but I'm gonna push to this one, then I'm gonna go back. Right now, we are in a situation where there's a lot at stake for us, right? But UGA is focused on one big event that we have every year, which is our UGA Invitational. It was called the Jim Thorpe Invitational when we started that in 2022. So we're now into our 4th year of this event. Ever since we started that event, actually the first year, we had over 120 young kids of color apply to play in this tournament. We had over 100 and something pros come play in this event. Well, apply to play in the event. We ended up having 66 men playing in our men's division, and we had a purse of $25,000. And we're a small organization, but we matched the same amount of purse that the APGA had. Why? Because we felt that we needed to, because they didn't deserve anything less. So we've continued that push. We've helped tons of kids get into college. We've got opportunities for them to get access to some of the best colleges. Morehouse's golf team right now is comprised of 70 young men who all played in the UGA Tour, the UGA Invitational over the last 3 years. Because we have value to these colleges and universities. Because we are a place to play. We are bringing the top black young men and young women to come compete in front of the camera so that everyone can see how talented they are. Up until some of you know about Bill Dickey, the BDI. Well, that was home for us for a couple of decades. And then thanks to Jeff Champ, he brought the Mac Champ Invitational in 2021, and that started everything going. And now it was one tournament, and we brought another one. And then Steph Curry and Will Lowry brought 6 more. So now in 3 years, actually in 2 years, we went from no golf tournaments for black kids at a high level to 7. That's a major accomplishment. And it keeps going. So what's better than 7? 10. What's better than 10? 12, 13, 14. We can go. At the end of the day, we need to have competitive events for them, but the events are not enough. Because we can have events for showcasing. We know they were talented enough. What's missing is the player development. So, again, I say my crazy self. So I travel, I talk to people, I listen. I ask tough questions. I come from corporate America, but I'm an entrepreneur. But what I do know is that master classes, TED Talks, are for a reason, right? To what? Teach, share, implore. And it's not always to make other people think what you're thinking, but it's to get them thinking, right? So what we're going to do, starting the first Saturday in February, over the next 12 months, UGA is hosting a masterclass series. Why? Because it's necessary. We're not just focused on juniors, mastering the mental game, social media branding, tournament strategy, team versus individual play. What that's talking about is going from being a high school player and a college player to now playing on the tour, now playing in U.S. Junior AMs, U.S. AMs, and just playing these other notable games and other events like that where you're not playing on a team. You can't depend on your team to come run behind you and save you because you had a bad day. It's all on you. So we're going to be talking to the kids about that, exploring career paths. Yes, the PGA Tour, yes, the PGA of America wants them to be PGA professionals, but that is not their only path. So this is the target audience for this: juniors, college players, tour players, families, parents. Why? Even our fellow nonprofit organizations who are doing the exact same thing as we are, who are fighting to get these kids the best access to whatever it is that's necessary and required so they can bring out the best in these kids. Now, UGA has a membership, which is another conversation. But the first one that we'll be hosting will be open to everybody. But as any other nonprofit organization, there's money that needs to be raised. But the goal is to get UGA back to where it was. How did we get to 10,000 members? We had tons of nonprofits and golf clubs and golf groups who play across the United States who all were a part of our organization. But this is going to totally change the game. Why? Because it's education. We've been talking about player development, and it's like this, right? But now, we got something now, Jim. Okay? Because I hear people talking about it at all levels, but it's chatter. White papers don't get anything done. Execution gets things done. So now we're executing a master plan and a master class to solve that. Something else, the brainchild of Andy Walker. Anyone in this room know who Andy Walker is? Some? Many do? Yes, Andy Walker, outside of Samperia, where's the gentleman? He's not here anymore, but he's from Pro Duffers. Pro Duffers used to fund Andy Walker and Samperia, who's the head coach of Howard University. They funded them to create camps every year to bring young, talented, young black kids to Arizona, to the Legacy Club, and train them for 4 days. We're going to get back to that stuff. But for UGA, and I apologize, it says event management operations. I must have took a slide from another one, but everything below it is still the same. I apologize. Junior tournament prep, junior elite training camps, our UGA junior national team, and our UGA collegiate team. What are these? We realize that a lot of our kids don't know how to prep for competitive golf tournaments. It's one thing to have a practice round, but if you have no clue what to do, practice round is not playing a round of golf just like you play a regular round of golf. You're not doing that. But many of them don't know how to do that. Partially it's because they have parents who love them, but a lot of these parents don't know as much as the kids do. So a lot of them don't have the education to be able to do that. So we have 8 PGA pros who we've identified across the United States who are going to be helping us over the next couple of years. And then we're going to grow it beyond that. Why? Because we need training camps in the summer, we need junior tournament prep, and then we're going to create a program. We're going to have the UGA Junior National Team. What is that? Top 10 girls and boys between 13 and 18 who we will be putting our resources in. Spain has a junior national team, don't they? They got a pro team. They got a college team. Australia, England, Scotland, Ireland. Every other country is pushing out their kids, and they're putting all the money and resources into their kids early and investing in them for 10, 15, 20 years. Why? Because it's necessary. If you go to an LPGA tournament, or just look at the leaderboard, it's not rocket science. Look at the PGA Tour. Look at the leaderboard. Look at those flags. You don't see U.S. flags all up in top 1 through 10. No. Why? Because the money is being put into development. Big money. They're not serious. Their kids don't go to school from 7:30 to 3:30, regular school. No, they're homeschooled. They got books from 7:30 to 11:30. The rest of the day, they at the course, hitting balls, getting trained, putting, chipping, short game, long game, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We know that we want to help all the babies, but the focus is finding 10 what I consider as little assassins. Because when our kids show up to that Nota Brigade, to that Petticoat Bell, all those events, when they see that name, I want them to see them just like they saw Tiger's name when he showed up, or they saw him they're like, damn, Tiger's here. I guess I'll be second this year. That can happen again, folks. Oh, yes, it can. And the key is just investing in those few. And as they graduate, they move up. and they move up, and then we bring more up. It's a system. It's a farming system. Baseball's done it. Hockey's done it. Basketball does it. Is there AAU? Is there AAU golf? No. AAU doesn't have golf as a sport. I wonder why. But there can be a UGA, AAU-ish kind of an exploratory opportunity where we create this system and competitiveness amongst our kids. The collegiate team will be the same, identifying the top HBCU and non-HBCU players coming to compete. And why is that important? Because right now, when you look across the HBCUs, I think there might be two who have WAGR rankings. WAGR rankings are points similar to FedEx points for professionals, but for college players. It gives them an opportunity to actually go and compete in big high-profile events. U.S. amateurs, and some of these other ones that are really high-profile, the Walker Cups. You can't play in those. Sam Purier is very adamant. Our kids will not play in any random tournaments. Everything is intentional with him. If you host a tournament and you don't have WAGR ranking or WAGR point opportunities, he might not sing his kids. Why? Because he wants them to be equivalent and aligned with all the other kids that are out there playing. Because he wants to give them the biggest shot that they have. Greg Odom and EJ, who just graduated from Howard, were the two. But this is how we get this thing moving. It's this right here. I'm going to come back to that. When we look at the most precious thing as a black man to me is my mother. But black men have to do what? In my mind, protect our black women. There's something that's been happening for decades. LPGA turns 75 years old this year. 75 years. Without me giving away the number, does anyone know how many black women have played on the LPGA Tour in the last 75 years? 8? Correct. 8. That's a horrific number. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. And I'm going to skip to this right here. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to let you read it. I don't think anyone has ever seen this actually on a screen, ever. But look at the gap between Renee Powell and Larry Sugg. That gap looks like the gap between Jim Dent and Tiger Woods. That gap looks like the gap between Jim Thorpe and Tiger Woods. It's almost the same gap between Tiger Woods and Joseph Bramlett. 20 years. There's something that happens between these big old gaps. But then Shasta came along, Sedina, Cheyenne, Ginger, Mariah Stackhouse. And unfortunately, we've had so many come along and have walked away. Why are they walking away? There's no support system for them. We've invested so much in black men on the APGA Tour, it is almost like the black women have kind of become not our focus right now. We haven't gone to corporate America as a collective and asked for corporate support for the black women who are playing on the LPGA sub-tours, AKA the Epson Tour. We currently have 4 women that I know of, I'm pretty sure I'm accurate, playing on the Epson Tour. And the LET and the European Tour, that's Georgia Obo, and this may get interesting, from Nigeria. There's Lakarabe Abe, Nigeria. Anita, Nigeria. You seeing a trend? And I love the fact, and now there's a ton of African men playing on the APGA Tour and the other tours as well. Livingston College, I think their whole golf team is all from Africa. And there's no quorum there. I love it all. But what's happening is that some of our women just aren't getting the support. Sponsors, resources, when they go ask for money, they're not there. When they ask for training, they're met with $250 an hour. You can't afford that. First place in some of these Eglin tours is $5,000. So I played 3 days of golf, in first place is $5,000. Imagine what 25th place gets. So the value, and we're seeing it in the WNBA, and we're seeing it in here. So what's happening is those are those first 8. These are our 8 right now. Georgia Obo, and I'm going from left to right. Georgia Obo, Amber Kirkendall, Lakarabe Abe, Zoe Slaughter. Then we have Janelle Johnson, Alana Avery. I'm sorry, not what's her first name? What's Avery's first name? Amari Avery. We have Paige Crawford and Micah Thomas. Micah Thomas is not here right now, but she's here in the building. But they want it just as bad as everyone else. They want it just as bad as these men. So what can we do to support them? Let me see if I can, I think I got a slide, and there it is right there. I can't tell you what's behind that block because it's not public yet. Jim, you see that? It's time. APGA Tour started with a dozen guys. But you gotta start somewhere. I don't care if it's 8 of them. I'ma still have a purse. They just gonna make a whole lot more money. So our goal is to have 4 events. We're going to start with 4 quarterly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that and go beyond. Why is this so important? Because we have the head coach from UMES over here. How many girls you got on your team, Coach? 12 girls on it. He hoarding them. He share some of those with some other schools. But he's got 12. If he's got girls who want to go off to the next stage of their golf career and go play pro, they have somewhere where they can start. Just like where the young men leave college, they can go to the APGA. They can go to some of the other local tours as well. But now they have somewhere where they can feel comfortable. Brother Gary, how you doing, man? But we have to start somewhere. So this is something that's coming. I ask you to be patient. But we coming, okay? And when we come, I need everyone's support. Likes, I'm not asking you for $1, but a like does not get anything done. A share shares it to everyone who you know. If you do highlight at everyone, all the little fancy tricks, but it's gonna take more than a village in this case, but if they know that they have support from everyone, that we show up to their tournaments and we follow them, they're going to know that something's there and that they have our support in more ways than one. Any questions about that before I move on to our next piece? So what is UGA now and moving forward? It's a legacy and a movement. I want you to look at that. Because UGA is about preserving the legacy of our legends. They went through some stuff that you can't even imagine. Somebody left a little present in the first hole cup for Charlie Sifford at a tournament. It was not a nice present in that cup when he got there. I'm not going to say what it is, but some of y'all know what was in that cup. But when you put your ball in a cup and want to pull the flag out to get you're not expecting what he saw. But they went through a lot. And for us to ignore their growth and their challenge and their spirit and their grit would be an abomination of not to make sure that we create a movement that's equivalent to what was there already before. I'm going to show you something. And this is a big statement, but I'm going to give a couple minutes and let you guys read. But I guarantee you, you have never seen this before. I'm going to give a minute and some change for this one, and I have another slide that shows even more. We are less than 1% of PGA golf professionals, LPGA golf professionals, tour players, LPGA tour players. Matter of fact, there's 0 black women on the LPGA tour right now. 0. D1 and 2 collegiate golf athletes, elite high school golf recruits, U.S. junior amateur championships, college players with Wagger rankings. Uh-oh. Black-owned businesses, board members in major golf organizations. Senior level executives in the golf industry. I love my brothers and sisters who work for the big corporate organizations, but we have amazing degrees and talent that goes beyond just a DEI role. Marketing, finance, engineering, architecture, attorneys. We have more value than a DE&I role. And now we know what's happening with DEI right now. Now, that's at the federal level, but it trickles down. Non-service employees in the golf industry. Attendees at the PGA Show. I went out there yesterday and stood there in the hall and right in the middle and put on my timer to see how long it'd take me to see someone else of color walk by me. 15 minutes. That's on Wednesday. We've been in golf way too long, y'all. We've been owning things in golf, but still, these are our numbers. This can't all change overnight. But what we can do is we can identify a handful, focus on those, and maybe there's a trickle-down effect. Or, trickle-up effect, right? Imagine being 12, showing up at an AJGA tournament with 100 kids, and you're the only one that looks like you. Gavin, you ever had that moment coming up? I know you did. This happens more often than you know. It's a shame, but it happens more often than you know. I had a 12-year-old come to me and say, she had what's, I'm trying to think of the term. It'll come to me in a second. Well, no, this comes with you actually, come on, brain. I'll get to it in a second. But when you show up somewhere and you're not sure if you belong here, imposter syndrome. When a 12-year-old walks up to me and says they have imposter syndrome because they're not sure if this is a thing, when you show up like that to an event as a 12-year-old, are you supposed to feel super confident that you can go tackle these other 99 kids? No. You go off to yourself, you put headphones on, you go on the range, and you're focused. But a lot of our kids don't have the courage or the spirit to be able to fight through that. Gary Sales isn't in here. I saw him earlier, but he's one of our close friends. Oh, there he is. Doc, how important is this right here in what you talk to some of our kids about?
Very important. IMG Academy brought me in to talk about that topic specifically with our black kids a few years ago. And with all of the pros and elite juniors that I currently work with, this is a topic of discussion. It can contribute to performance anxiety, like you said, the imposter syndrome. But you all would be very surprised to know when I asked, okay, when we play basketball, if you remember, you know, he's a white guy, you tell me, I got this. And I thought the same thing would happen in golf with whites when we had this happen. And believe it or not, the white subjects in my research study said, if he's black or she's black and they're here, they must be good. I better bring my game. It wasn't like what we feel, you're white, you can't compete with us in our game. That was the overwhelming thought. So that's what I try to tell the kids. They're expecting you to play well. The respect is there. It might be race-based and kind of uncomfortable, but it exists. And the research backs it up, not just my studies, but other studies as well.
Thank you, Doc. United Golfers Association has entered into a few agreements. One of them is with Stanford University. Stanford University has what's called a Sports Equity Lab. A very good friend of mine, Yetza, leads that team. They have a team of 7. We're going to collectively raise money through grants to hire someone who could focus on the inequities in golf, something that really hasn't been looked at a high level. So the goal for that is to identify if that clause potentially was never put in place in 1934. What would we look like now? And there's ways to look at data to be able to identify and understand not just the numbers of us just playing rounds of golf. We spend money in golf. Let me tell you something. We're not 1% folks. You didn't see that on there. You didn't see our spend on there because we spend money. But the reinvestment, the back to it is it's, they like the money, but sometimes we're not good enough to do certain things. So we're going to look at the inequities in golf. We have a plan to use sensors on hands, heart, and other places on the body so that we can see and sense through technology at what point do you stop saying or start saying, golf's not that hard. See what I did there? Yeah. But it's, when do you get anxiety? Is it here? Is it a second before you pull the trigger on the tee box? Or you putting? Why people waggle? Why do people waggle so much? Gavin, what's that? What is that? Right. But there's some people who waggle for a real long time. Unsure. Talking themselves out of something or into something, right? You don't hit it in the water, don't duff it, people are watching, right? But the goal is to find out through technology how to fix that, how to solve that. And that is what's going to change everything. And it's a study that's being exclusively done for UGA. That's our data. Our data. And we will use that to enhance, we will share that with our partners in golf, which mean all the other golf organizations. Anyone know who George Fraser is? DeBert, I know you do. Have you seen this when George did this? Yeah. DeBert, is this what we're dealing with right now? Say it one more time.
Everybody's separate, doing their own thing.
That is what's happening in the black culture in golf. We have 150 plus organizations and orgs we got an academy over here and a nonprofit over there, and we got this over there, and we got that over there, and I'm doing this. But that's all that is. But nobody's talking to each other, Jim. We're not collaborating. We're not having conversations. There was a series on HBO called The Wire. They had what was called, Ron, the co-op. Remember the co-op, Ron? Now, I'm going off topic, but I'm on topic. These are people who are on the streets, who are entrepreneurs. But they still found a way to come together once a month to talk about how to keep everybody moving, how to keep the product moving. What's happening is that we come together once a year, Jim, and this is but it's fragmented still. We can still have conversations around player development and funding and lack of and too much of this and not enough of that, but what's happening is we don't have this. Hold on. Uh-oh, where is it? Sorry, there we go. Somehow they got mixed up. But this is what I love to see for us. The reason why is because it's unity. We can look at 1,000 things to come up with the whys. But until we find a way to be able to connect the dots with all of the black and people of color who are in golf, who want to see the same thing for the same group of people, have time together monthly, raising money through a group economic model, a group economics model in golf for people of color. How about that? You thought that I already been thought of already. But if it has, I haven't seen it, Jim. Have you seen it, Jim? No. And Jim been around golf a couple years, 2, 3, 4. But it's time for that now. And so what I am sharing for the first time is I will be bringing together a group of heads, thinkers and doers. I need a lot of, not doers in the way of tell me what to do and I'll do it, but executors who have access to resources, who lead organizations, who are members of certain organizations in the industry, who can make shit move. Because if we don't, we're going to have a situation. And this is what it's called. Keeping it real simple. And I apologize, it's light on here, but I think it's because of the light behind the screen. But it's we, us, ours. But imagine a PMO, private member organization, with 10,000 members, giving $10 a month. Look, we all got apps on our phone, and Apple charge us once a month. We don't even know what that was. And we don't question it. We just I don't know what app that is, but it keeps coming off my bill. I got like 10. But imagine if we could do that. That's $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year. Imagine what could be done with that. This is what could be done with that. Grassroots programs, $600,000 to fund community golf clinics, schools, partnerships, and access to affordable equipment. Meaning using our collective buying power, like those brothers said yesterday, to get better pricing, Jim. But if we don't have one organization that can go to corporate America, go to TaylorMade, Nike, Adidas, all these companies, Titleist, and say, hey, we us, ours. We want a group discount that we can apply to all of our members so that now they can get access to what's necessary. A pipeline development, supporting junior golfers with travel grants, tournament entry fees, scholarships, and coaching. AJGA has the same thing. The difference is this money comes from within the community. Operational costs, capacity building. But to really get us to the next stage, it's going to take bold moves, some courage, poking the baby bear, the mama bear, and the papa bear. Because all them bears need to get poked right now. Some of us are afraid to poke the bear because we're afraid of things. Well, I can't fire myself. So I don't mind being the bear poker. If y'all need me to poke the bear, if that's what I'm supposed to be here for, Jim, I don't mind it. Come for me. But I'll say this, because I know we got time. And I can share some of these slides. I won't share all of them, but I can share some of these with you. But again, there's other things that we could be doing. And I want to make sure, I got to go back to a couple, and this is why it's important. This right here. This is my last few slides. For many who don't know, there are 223,000 high school golfers. 7.5% will be recruited to go to college. 16,000, that's about 7.5%. They'll go play on a college team. Less than 500 of those 16,000 are black golf athletes will get a chance to play D1, 2, or 3. That's a big number and a small number. Look at this. There are 1,600 D1, 2, and 3 golf programs across the United States. May not even seen this number before. Look at these, huge. I never knew that D3 was more than D1, but I know now after doing the research. But this is our biggest issue, and this will be my last slide. We have a pipeline issue. We have a funding issue. We have a retention issue and development issue. The pipeline issue is that right now, at the college level, when we look at HBCUs that are precious to us, black men and women are close to 60% of the college players at HBCUs. Every year, that's going to change about 7 to 10% going down. Why? Because we have a pipeline issue. We don't have enough kids at our elite graduating from high school going to college who look like us. Coach? So what's going to happen in 2029, you're going to have a situation where we're going to be close to about 35 to 40%, maybe less, will be kids who look like us playing at HBCUs, and not to put Tennessee out there and on the block, but it's going to look like Tennessee State University right now. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. But there should be no reason Sam Puryear's alma mater, that was a bull back in the day, looks the way it does now. No reason. This is going to be an issue. Right now, we have more young black girls getting into golf than black boys. That's a retention issue, because we can't hold their attention. Many of them. They show up to events, and they don't see anyone who looks like them. I went to Morgan State University. I went to HBCU. I like going to places and seeing people who look like me. At least a handful. When I go to a restaurant and I'm the only black couple walking in, already like, this looks uncomfortable already. But imagine being 12, 14, 18. So this is what the focus should be on. And I know I've gotten to the edge of this clip. It's 11:59, Jim. But I just want to say thank you. If there's any questions, I'll shut up. I'm sure there's a few. But I'd love to talk to anyone after this and have conversations and seeing how we can get that web tightened up and not be as many of these black dots on the board. Thank you. Any questions? Notes? Good. Gavin, can you come up here just a quick second? Yes, sir. So the UG Invitational, as I mentioned, we have our Legacy Cup. And Gavin is one of our team captains for the college team. And I've followed him for a while. You know, Mr. Golf's not that hard, but he inspired me because of his energy. And I got to get this guy on my team. So Gavin, I just want to say thank you, brother. Thank you for coming, supporting. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what does it mean to you, if you can give a second, because I know you get recruited to do a lot of things. First tee stuff, other stuff, but you're always there, but the demographics are not always what we're talking about.
Definitely.
Can you just share for a second for those who will listen?
Yeah, for sure. I became, February 2016, I was elected to the PGA of America membership, and I became the 113th person of color. When I went to college, I went to a professional golf management program, and I was one of 118 students. I'm not that good at golf, so I'm very envious of these collegiate golfers who are very good. So to be able to have the opportunity to captain in something like this is incredible. But most importantly, if you don't know your history, you don't kind of know your future. So I'm here to, like Ty said, I feel like I instill enthusiasm and joy, and that's what I'm meant to do with a stick and a ball. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
guys.
Appreciate you. Oh, my apologies. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to share you brought up a good question on that 12-year-old. I have a 12-year-old, and she went through that experience. At the U.S. Kids, didn't want her out there. Even the director pushed her off the greens for the experience. Get off, get off, get off. She competed in the drive, chip, putt competition this past year. She came in first place in Palm Beach Gardens. She trained with one of the young girls. The girl father called me and said, can she train with them? Train with her every day for 3 weeks. When my daughter came in first place, every one of those girls walked away and not one congratulated my daughter. Not one. Came up and said, congratulations.
Envy.
Envy. And my daughter came crying with me, came over, cried. I said, hey, we got this. I said, as long as your daddy's standing next to you, we okay. And we okay. And I learned that from my grandfather. If y'all know what okay mean, we okay.
We okay.
We okay. It's real. But she's going to be all right, as long as daddy's around. But I just wanted to share that we've had the experience, what you share about that 12. And just wanted to share my little.
Where are you based?
Out of West Palm.
What's your daughter's name?
We're connected with Mr. Malachi, the inner city, but we play,
What's your daughter's name?
Alyssa, I think we met at Jim Thorpe. I think you were at one.
Is she registered this year?
Huh?
Is she registered this year?
No, she should have. I got so busy, I forgot to register.
Well, you're talking to the man.
Yeah, I'm talking to the man, and we're going to talk.
All right.
Because I think we met, you don't remember, but I think we met at one of the Jim Thorpe events. She played in one of the events there.
Well, we'd love to have her.
Yes.
I always make time and make
Okay.
room.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on the end of that, there was Heather. Oh, it's just, but, oh, sorry, yeah, where can we find us online? So UGAinvitational.com is our website for the event, and we, UnitedGolfersAssociation.org is the organization. And yes, there are still young girls who are being told, and just as last week, this young lady named is Jada Sidney, was told by some kids and the director at a tournament that she was attending, why are you here? Don't you guys already have events that you guys can play in? Imagine that. I mean, this child is, actually, she's 18. But how do you walk away? Do you walk away from golf at that point? Because you don't feel like you belong? But it's tough. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Ty, thank you very much.